The views and opinions expressed of the On the Spot with David Rodgers show are solely based on the show's hosts, guests, and viewers, and we are solely responsible for all show content in its entirety and does not reflect the opinions and views of any of our sponsors in any way. These broadcasts are presented and made public by On the Spot with David Rodgers' staff in the hope that it will be entertaining and informative to our viewers and listening audience.
Good Tuesday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to On the Spot with David Rodgers. Tonight, sponsored by Fun Point Games on South Walnut Street in Stark, home of great food, great games, and great family fun. This is the live Facebook interactive show where you, the viewer, has total input on topics of discussion regarding any subject that includes commenting, talking, or debating, not with just your host, but with you, each other, the viewers. You control and run this show. We are just a rudder that steers this big old vessel. This is a show that is wide open with no limits as we bring it to you first. We discuss news, politics, and business, sports, and other things pertinent to our community, including the latest of the COVID-19 situation, as well cover all of North Florida, including Stark, Lake Butler, Gainesville, Keystone Heights, Waldo, Lulu, where I've seen David's sister, Melrose, Brooker, Palatka, Middleburg, Lake City, and the entire regional area. We also talk about happenings in the great state of Florida and South Georgia as we talk about state news, politics, and sports, and also delve into news and current events going on in our great nation and world today that affect our everyday lives. Now, let me introduce the show team, the guys that make it all happen, bringing the move to the groove. First, behind the controls with the video and audio is our senior producer, Mr. Command and Control, the big dog, our executive producer, Super Dave Daredevil Hollins. Say hello, David.
Hello, David.
Well, and joining him behind the scenes, keeping the flow to the show, is our director, Michael, the Dragon Slayer Heater. Say hello, Michael.
Hey, evening, everybody.
And our man with all things weather, tracking some storms, rolling in over the next few days. He's on special assignment, Austin Storm Chaser Stevens. And now my co-host, to my left, he is our historian and governmental whiz on national and world politics, Byron, fighting to help keep your freedom and rights Bagwell.
Good evening, infidels.
And to my right, with local news and breaking information, Mitchell, the American scout and your lookout on terrorism and anything else that does not belong or looks out of place, Gunter.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And I'm your host, Mr. David Rodgers, the voice of the Bradford High Tornadoes, and
The show
party. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you live from the On the Spot studios, home of the Defenders of the Republic. And we want to thank our show co-sponsor, Sheriff Gordon Smith, for the hospitality. Before we delve into today's latest, we want to recognize our great sponsors who have been working hard with limited staff and changing hours. Harry Business in the Deerfoot Plaza, home of the $8 haircut. Call Dave and Company for an appointment at 904-964-3338.
Service first. Mobile small engine repair. Don't risk going out in public. Let Chuck Scarberry come to you at 904-703-5136.
Williams Jewelry on Call Street. By appointment only. Be sure to check them out on Facebook for the best deals on beautiful jewelry and timepieces. Call Vicki and her great team at 904-964-7064.
But now it's time to kick off the show with our prayer, our pledge of allegiance, and the patriotic quote of the week, brought to you by On the Spot Lawn Maintenance. Let the red, white, and blue take care of your green. You can phone me at 904-966-1633. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into On the Spot with David Rodgers, the crew, Mr. Michael Eater, Mr. Dave Holland, Mr. Byron Bagwell, Mr. Mitchell Gunner, and I'm your host, Mr. David Rodgers. We are your freedom fighters. We are the new sons of liberty. We are the defenders of the republic and also the high priests of the church of the painful truth. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the show rolling. All right, we're going to start off with our prayer. If I can have everyone bow their heads, please, as we go into prayer. Our righteous Heavenly Father, let us once thank again for a wonderful and glorious day, dear Lord. Thank you for letting us be able to do this show each Tuesday and each Saturday, dear Lord. Keep blessing us with the information, dear Lord, that we need to put out to our viewers, our great viewers, dear Lord, that make this show happen. Thank you for the food that we receive each and every day, that it goes into the nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to thy service. Any spoken or unspoken prayer requests, dear Lord, that you touch each and every one of them, dear Lord. Touch their hearts and touch their minds and touch their souls as they're going through this rough time, dear Lord. Thank you for letting us live in the greatest country in the world today, and that's the United States of America, dear Lord. The freest country in the world today.
Amen.
Also, thank you for our armed forces, dear Lord, as they're doing a great job defending our freedoms, our rights, and our liberties. Please keep a hedge of protection over them, and please bring them back home safe. Also, dear Lord, this COVID-19 virus that we've got going on, dear Lord, just touch each and every one that is sick, dear Lord. You've got the healing hands and the healing power, and you can make all this go away, dear Lord. Again, thank you. Keep a hedge of protection over us throughout the rest of the week until we're able to gather again. And we ask for these things in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. And the congregation says,
Amen.
Amen. Let us stand for our pledge. And I'm going to ask Mr. Mitchell Gunner if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we always do, we start off with the prayer, the pledge, and now we have a quote from our co-host, our historian and governmental whiz on different things. That's Mr. Byron Bagwell. What you got for us, Byron?
Well, I pretty much am going to go with the same one that I normally go with, Benjamin Franklin quote, because we have a lot of people scared that our government is taking a little bit too much of our freedoms away from us, our social liberties and liberties in general.
Okay.
Freedom is not a gift bestowed upon us by other men, but a right that belongs to us by the laws of God and nature.
Amen. All right, here's your quick and dirty for this Tuesday night, sponsored by Mrs. Clean House Cleaning Services, serving the Lake area and all over the region. Call Karen for a free estimate at 352-575-5835. We start with the latest on the severe weather that moved through the area yesterday and this morning, with Live Oak and Suwannee County getting the brunt of the damage. Suwannee County Sheriff reported major damage west of Live Oak. Farmers Coop and Wayne Friars Trailer Park received significant damage, but no injuries were reported, thank God. There were no other storm reports except for a few trees down around the area. Lake City Police are searching for a missing woman today. Liza Burgos is a Hispanic female with dark hair and was last seen, ladies and gentlemen, wearing a red tank top and pajama bottoms around 7 a.m. this morning. Anyone with information, call Lake City Police at 386-752-4344, and you can remain anonymous. Marion County deputies arrested a man this week after he was observed flashing white lights from his vehicle in a manner similar to an emergency vehicle. Turns out it was not an emergency vehicle. It was, in fact, a Jeep being driven by a man with no driver's license. Imagine that. After deputies stopped the vehicle, a search revealed drug, paraphernalia, and some good old marijuana. How about that? In Pasco County, 3 cows died, and 3 were injured when they fell out of a moving truck on I-75 near State Road 52. Both northbound and southbound lanes were closed for 2 hours while the road was cleared.
What was that?
That is no bull crap.
That's bull hockey. What that is.
And finally, here's the Dragon Slayer with your Austin's Weather Service quick and dirty forecast for the region. How about it, Mr. Michael Eater?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Just a quick reminder that we did have some pretty decent weather move through the area earlier this morning. The storms have moved on, but the rain will continue for the next few hours. We received 0.7 of an inch of rain in Stark today, and more rain is expected. Look for lows tonight in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees by sunrise at 7 a.m., but it'll only climb into the mid-70s with on and off showers throughout the rest of your Wednesday. The rain will persist into the overnight hours and taper off after sunrise. Look for partly cloudy skies on Thursday with only a 20% chance of rain and highs rebounding into the lower 80s.
And that is your quick and dirty. Thank you, Michael Heater. That is your quick and dirty for this Tuesday night. Brought to you by On the Spot Lawn Maintenance. From mowing and trimming to gutter cleaning and pressure washing and more. Find us on Facebook or call me at 904-966, dial it up behind 1633. All right, and now with the local report. Hey, well, I can't answer right now. And now with the local report, here's our main man, Mitchell Gunner. Tonight's segment brought to you by Dependable Waste Service of Florida, Mr. Jamie Clemens, providing waste removal and land clearing for over 20 years. Call Jamie at 904-966-0255. And here he is, one of the high priests of the Church of the Painful Truth. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Mitchell Gunner.
In High Springs police are investigating a shooting that took place around 8:30 p.m. Monday night. The shooting happened at 23,000 Northeast 178th Avenue. They say an unknown subject took shots at each other and fled the scene. Police saying that a silver or gray vehicle may have been involved in the crime. If you have any information, you can contact Detective Taylor at 352-955-1818. Also in Putnam County, a deputy has tested positive for COVID-19. The deputy noticed symptoms and then was tested. The test came back positive. They have also had to isolate 6 other members of the Putnam County Sheriff's Office due to being in contact with the deputy. But none of them are at this time showing any signs of symptoms. The City of Stark is continuing to work to improve the electrical utility service for their customers. The city plans to interrupt power on the morning of April the 20th from 12:05 a.m. through 2 a.m. The city has coordinated service interruption with the county emergency management and also the Board of Health to ensure that there will be no negative impacts on overall responses to COVID-19 emergencies and essential services. And that was said by our city manager, John Hallman. Also, to remind anybody, if you see something on Facebook and you're not for sure that if it's true or not with the pandemic that is going on, you can call Rumor Control. You can call Rumor Control at 904-368.
Family. And she said at some point that she will get all those numbers up and she will tell us how many dollars that they collected in a certain amount of period. I don't know how long this is going to go on. I guess until we start seeing maybe a decline down in, of course, with the coronavirus. But according to this, there's a network of 200 food banks around and 60,000 food pantries and meal programs for more than 40,000 people every year. So, you know, these places feed quite a bit of people. So, wanted to hit that. I will have Michael Heater put this on our webpage So you'll be able to go see that on our webpage. And then you'll probably put this out on Bradford County Word of Mouth. I will say this about our director. If it's news, if it's anything of importance, Michael Heater will put it on everything that he deems necessary. So you, the viewers, can see where, if you can't see it like on Facebook, you'll be able to see it somewhere else. So it's always somewhere else that is able to be seen. That's all I've got on the local. Michael, do you have anything that you want to add to the local? I know the rumor hotline is going on.
Mitchell got it on the rumor control.
Sounds great. So I appreciate that, Mitchell. Byron, we're going to go right over to you, man. This show's flowing so well tonight.
Sure.
Again, I appreciate it. But before I get to you, I just want to thank a few people.
Sure.
Ralph Thornton, Austin Stevens, thank you for joining us. Noah Gibson, Melissa Delk. Let's see, Sandy is on. Jason's on. Ralph brought up a good question. Ralph says we need jobs to start back and school to start back. Amen, brother. I know we're trying everything that we can to do that. And hopefully pretty soon we'll hit that peak and then we'll start going on the backside. I just hope this virus is over before tick season gets here. Otherwise, we're going to have... Sarge, I ain't saying that. Anyway, Lucy Davis, thank you for joining us. Michelle Lynn Blanton. She said your hair looks good, Mitchell, by the way. Good evening, Byron Bagels.
Yeah, that was
Mr. Dwight Allen, how are you, brother? We're doing good. Melissa Delk, this scares me. My son is a detective with the Alachua County Sheriff's Department. Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody's taking all the necessary precautions and everything that is going on. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to apologize. We are having technical difficulties with our internet.
6 times
so
far.
We're trying to work on that. Please stay with us. If you can hear us, keep tuning in. Charles Zipper, thank you for joining us. Randy Scoggins, Janet Adams, Richard Monroe. And yes, we do know that it's freezing up. Marie, welcome in. So, yeah, I do too, Jason. I hate when this happens too. We're rolling with a good show and then all of a sudden something happens. So, it sounds like we're back on, according to our producer and our director. Renee Stegall went to school with her. And in Jackson County news, it's suspected that a down power line started a brush fire near the Bayou Cumbas community, east of Pascagoula, Mississippi, the south of Highway 90. The fire jumped 4 lanes Monday evening and burned into Tuesday morning, damaging 460 acres. No one has been reported injured and no homes were threatened. 54 fire workers from the city, county, and state and the forestry department have managed to get the fire 98% contained. But parts were still smoldering as of about noon today. Now, Renee lives in Pascagoula, Mississippi, where I'm from, and went to high school. So that is a great story, Renee, and thank you for that update. Melissa Dell said, thank you, Michael, for the great information that you put out. Yes, we do know that it keeps going in and out, and we're working on that right now. David Kilgore, I just started back working part-time at the restaurant. I got a job at Camp Blanding. I want to thank you for that. We need a lot of food service right now going on. What a great and important deal. Also, I know you wanted to thank truck drivers.
Oh, definitely.
Truck drivers, any warehouse workers, food service right now. Hey, medical, to include doctors, nurses, anybody, the LPNs.
Our men and women that works at Walmart, Winn-Dixie,
Winn-Dixie,
Publix, all
Stock
these
and
stores.
Shop. Oh my gosh, yes. We definitely want to thank all those guys. You guys are truly our heroes, and we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. So
I did miss something in my report,
Okay.
and I want to hit it real quick because, you know, we do cover southern Georgia
we do.
as well. Yesterday, they actually had a tornado touchdown in Odom, Georgia, which is a little bit to the west of Jessup, damaging about 25 to 30 homes. In the city, had a bunch of trees down and stuff like that. One lady, her patio furniture ended up in one neighbor's windows, and her shed was in the other neighbor's yard across from her.
Wow.
So it was F1 is what they would consider what it was an F1 with winds of 107 miles per hour. But
Pretty strong.
just to kind of give you an idea, something that's small with winds of 107 at F1
It's going to pick it up.
compared to what a F2, F3, F4 is, so.
I also want to, in my home state, we were just reading a hometown story right there. In my home state, Jackson, Mississippi got tore up too, as you've seen that as well.
Right.
Did you see that aircraft hangar that just collapsed on all those airplanes, like $30 million worth? That was ugly. So from Nashville a couple of months ago, now through the southeast there, our prayers and our thoughts are with you guys, and I can guarantee you, we as Americans will come and help. And that's for sure. There's no doubt about it. We got too many good people out there that's willing to do great things
That's right.
when need. And again, along with this COVID-19 thing, we've got storms, weather that you got to deal with. So you're going to get that double-edged sword that you talked about for sure, Byron.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead.
We did have one comment that came in. I wanted to address this. Somebody did send a note saying, hey, with all the rain we've gotten, is the burn ban lifted?
Oh.
No. Knew that was coming. No.
Burn
that
ban
was
will-
coming.
Yes, the burn ban will remain in effect for an indefinite amount of time. Understand that part of it has to do with the dry weather. Again, 0.7 of an inch of rain is not a lot when our drought index was starting to climb the way it was. Secondly, anytime there's a local state of emergency, we enact a burn ban again because we have to allocate resources accordingly due to the emergency situation that we're facing. We don't anticipate this to be a long-term situation. However, at this point, we are still having the burn ban in place. There is no outdoor burning, no open flames. You will get a visit from law enforcement, and if the fire is significant, a visit from fire rescue to extinguish the fire.
All righty. Appreciate that, Michael Heater. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to some national and world news. I'm going to turn it over to our guru himself, Mr. Byron Bagwell. Welcome in, Mr. Byron
Thank you,
Bagwell.
sir. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Go ahead.
I did want to say a little bit about what we were just talking about the COVID-19. It appears the numbers are actually going down as far as hospitalizations are going and deaths are going.
Right.
They're testing more people and there are more cases, but because of drugs like the hydrochloroquine, and azithromycin and zinc, which they've been using in different combinations, mostly with both of them with hydrochloroquine, the number of hospitalizations are actually going down. They're saying now that people who are receiving these drugs can actually start improving in a day, if not in hours. So it appears that we have found something that actually fights COVID-19 in a way that is very, very good for normal people. And there are some people that can't take those drugs because of the side effects. I also heard today from a doctor, not personally. Most of my information I end up digging off the internet or listening to different people who talk to actual doctors. They put them on their shows. Today, a doctor that was basically is the head of the largest practice for people with lupus and rheumatoid arthritis was talking about hydrochloroquine.
Right.
And he was talking about the fact that the drug side effects in the dosages that they're actually using for the patients for COVID-19 has zero side effects. When you start increasing the dosage and you use it over long periods of time, there are some side effects that go along with that. But in the doses they're using, there are no side effects. And he reiterated also today that zero of the people that he had as patients has COVID-19. So apparently it's actually working. So those are some good news that's coming from all of this. The cases are actually going up, but the hospitalizations are going down because we have medications that are working for it, and the death rate is going down. Those are very good indicators to the president and his team to actually start slowly opening this back up. It won't happen all at once. I have a feeling what's going to happen is they're going to start letting people go back to work at the end of this month, and then slowly they'll start opening other things up to the public, like saying you can go to a restaurant in groups of more than, say, 20 people. They can only be 20 people in a restaurant. Now, I'm not saying these are the guidelines because I've not heard anything about that. But what will eventually happen is they'll open this completely back up. What I don't want people to do is I don't want people to go overboard when they start opening this back up and start doing things that you shouldn't do. Don't want your movements restricted, but you also don't want to have the block party and the bonfire if you live in Clay County, because we don't have a burn ban. You don't want the block party. You got the humongous bonfire and 100 people there, and you're dancing with them and hugging all over them, and everybody's drinking and having a good time, which happens in some places. You don't want to do that because guess what? You'll end up. You might not end up with it. There's percentage chance is small that you'll end up with it, but still, you want to be safe. If you end up with COVID-19, they're still going to quarantine you for 14 days because the gestation period of that. That's the time period they're doing.
Right.
So, don't go back to normal life quite yet.
Right.
There will be a time and a period that we will go back to normal life, though.
Byron, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I didn't mean to interrupt you right there, but let me
Sure.
train of thought there, maybe for you and Michael Heater and maybe Mitchell. Ladies and gentlemen, we study these numbers and we study this really well. And, we try to say that we're well diversified as much as we can be without being a doctor or a nurse or something like that. Do want to ask something. I hear that there is a second go-around of this coming. Is that true?
Here is my understanding.
And the reason I wanted to say that is because I know that you were saying about trying to get back to normalcy at the end of the month, and I hope that and pray that does. But if there's a second go around, how is that?
Well, what's going to end up happening if there is a second going around?
Right.
And we don't know that there will be. We don't know that there won't be. The trends in viruses tend to say that you get it under control, people relax, and then all of a sudden it comes back.
Right.
And sometimes when it comes back, it actually becomes more virulent and more people catch it. That's why they're going to probably do this very slowly. Mm-hmm. There's a possibility that it comes back again. I mean, take a look at what happens to the Spanish flu every year.
Right.
Because, make no mistake, the Spanish flu that killed a bunch of people in America in the teens is still a strain of the flu virus that comes back every year.
Right.
We still have SARS, which is and MERS,
No,
which is versions of what's going on right now. So it's very possible that it comes back, and it's very possible that it comes back different. There's two strains. There's one that's on the East Coast, and there's one that's on the West Coast. I learned a little bit more about that, too, because you have one that on the West Coast that apparently has come directly from China because of the travel going back and forth before President shut it down. And you have the one on the East Coast, which came from people in Europe, which is the second strain of it.
Right.
That was my understanding. I did a little bit of digging into that. I'm glad you led me into that.
Right.
But my understanding of the second wave is it can happen.
All right. Michael, did you have anything on it?
Yeah, one of the things that you have to consider is that there is some, obviously the body produces antibodies when you're exposed to this one, and that does tend to fend off reoccurrence. However, the issue that we deal with is the fact that this particular virus tends to mutate. It's mutated at least 4 to 5 times that scientists are aware of, probably more.
Really?
And
There's 4 or 5 strains of it now?
Yeah, well, no, it's been 4 or 5 mutations
of
these two strains.
Of the two strains.
Right.
Okay,
the S
I
and
got
the
you.
L have mutated. That's the reason why it started off as they claim it was animal-based, then it mutated to expect humans, then it mutated again to go human-to-human exposure. There's ramblings and rumors that it's mutated to become airborne. That has not been proven at this point.
Right.
Don't buy into the hysteria on it. The point, though, is that much like as Byron was saying, that you do get a re-exposure, you do get a reoccurrence on that one. It can come back stronger than previously, which is the reason why, as Byron said, that the rollout for recovery will probably be slow. It will be it will be very paced in such a way to minimize that reoccurrence. Best thing that people can do is don't get worked up over it. Don't panic over it. Continue to follow the guidelines established. Maintain social distancing. Wash your hands. If you are immunocompromised, or the elderly, or the very young, again, take the steps to make sure that you protect yourself and your family so that should something reoccur on us like this one, you're prepared for it. We would rather you be prepared, not panicked, and we work to inform, not alarm, and that's where we're at this point.
Right. I did want to add one more thing to what Michael just said. If you are not washing your hands at least 3 or 4 times a day to begin with, then somewhere along the lines, somebody has failed you in your life because you should be washing your hands anyway. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be smart.
Agree.
I'm just saying, if you're not constantly washing your hands every day, there's something wrong.
Right.
And there are things out there that if you don't wash your hands and you do things like eat a hamburger, which you have to pick up with your hands, that are a lot worse than COVID-19 and will kill you. Mm-hmm. I'm being serious, guys. Like that. Wash your hands. I know what's wrong with me. I've been tested 1,300 times. It's all that yellow stuff that's floating around that the rain just washed out. I don't know why my sinuses are going berserk today, but they still are. Look, guys, wash your hands. Follow the guidelines. If you know a person is negative, that's not a problem. But make sure that person is negative for this stuff, has never had any of the symptoms. Heck, he has even been tested because I'll be honest with you, it probably will not hurt anybody like me, my age. But if I catch it and I don't have the symptoms of this virus in the way most people do, and then I get around David Rodgers, who's a little bit older.
Had pneumonia.
I've had pneumonia too, but I mean he's
older.
He's almost to the age category where they start worrying about people's health from it. Or I get around my parents who are in the age category, and one of them has health problems to the point where it probably would not be good for him to catch it. Just remember that when you talk about this, spreading it from person to person to person to person, you're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting people around you. Now, the other day, I went on a little bit of a rant about our civil liberties being infringed upon, and they are being infringed upon. And we need to get back to normal. And I really believe we do. But they're not being infringed on to the point where it makes it necessary for people to panic. There are some hot spots in this country that concern me greatly. Michigan is one of them. The governor from Michigan has lost her mind. And I'll tell you why the governor from Michigan has lost her mind. Because if her her citizens don't openly rebel against her for the draconian measures she's taking with this, there won't be a penny in the coffers of the Michigan government after the lawsuits are over for what she is doing to her citizens. There's some other things that I've heard. Did you hear about the Mississippi mayor?
Yes, yes.
There is a town in Mississippi, I can't remember which town.
Maybe Renee can tell us.
I can't remember which one it was. I read that earlier today and should have written it down and didn't. Normally, I'm really good with remembering names of places that this stuff goes on. But this mayor basically had the police officers hand out $500 fines to churchgoers who were sitting in their cars with their windows rolled up, with the pastor inside of the church giving a sermon over FM radio. They were at the church, in the church parking lot, with their windows rolled up.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
The police officers show up and give the tickets off. Now, there's been a lot of publicity, and they said they're not going to enforce it. They're not going to enforce the $500 tickets now because the mayor got so much heat over them doing that. But This is the type of thing we have to guard against nationwide. Because if that governor is going to, or that mayor is going to do that, what happens when that mayor runs for a higher office and they get more power? These are the type of people you need to look at and go, you're not coming back into office. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that what you're doing during this is remembered by all of your constituents when the next election rolls around. Same thing with the Michigan governor.
Right.
That lady's off her rocker. I mean, if you go through and read the stuff that this lady has said that nobody can do, she's imposed martial law on her citizens, on her citizens of the state. She really has, because you can't go outside. You can't go outside your house. They're going to send people around to make sure you're not going outside your house. We talked about that the other night on the phone.
Yes, we did.
I'm sorry. You tell me I can't go out of my house, we're going to have an issue. Something better be floating around airborne that is going to kill me on contact, because if there's not, we're going to have an issue, and you're going to have an issue.
Right.
The whole world's going to know about it after it's over with. And that's the way everybody should feel about that. Yeah, there's just some things we need to be very careful about. And when things like this go on, guess what I always look out for?
Oh, I know.
I watch for what Congress is doing.
Yeah.
2 episodes ago, we had a brief discussion about a 630-page monstrosity known as H.R. 5717. Now I'm finding out that Facebook is basically making claims that what's in the actual bill itself does not require people to have a federal firearms license if you already own guns. Well, guess what? This is H.R. 5717, and no, I have not read every single page of this, but I'm going to give you what this says. It says, well, there it is. In general, except otherwise provided in this section, it shall be unlawful for any individual who is not licensed under this section to knowingly purchase, acquire, or possess a firearm or ammunition. There are all sort of restrictions on basically ARs, AKs, they call them assault weapons.
That's right.
Certain amount of rounds in clips. If you have a gun that shoots over an amount of clips, it's illegal to have. You have to federally register all of your guns.
They want to know what you got.
They want to know what you got. Facebook, the fact checkers at Facebook have messed up on this one. And if Facebook wants to go back and go, I'm saying the wrong thing, I'm going to put your challenge out right now. There it is. There it is. This is the HR bill directly off of government.org. It is the bill that was written in Congress by one of our great senators, Mr. Johnson, the same one that thinks that Guam is going to tip over if we put too many assets on it. So don't tell me it's not in there, and don't start banning people from posting facts up. Just to let you know, Facebook isn't always on the up and up, guys, with what you read. If you don't already know that, you should know that some things on Facebook is nonsense. But this time it's Facebook that's perpetrating the nonsense, because they want to know what you got. They want you to license it federally. So, and they made it unlawful for you to possess anything that is untraceable. It just goes on and on and on and on and on about what this bill does. Thank God that it will not go through the Senate. This will not go through the Senate. I'm sorry. And even if it does go through the Senate, President Trump will never sign it. One more thing about it before Mitchell wants to say something. One more thing I can say too. If for some reason Donald Trump was replaced by a doppelganger, and that's a person, or really it's a creature that replicates a person's looks and pretends to be them. If for some reason Donald Trump was replaced by a doppelganger and he signed that nonsense, the lawsuits that would follow from the NRA and the citizens of this country would go all the way to the Supreme Court, and that monstrosity would be thrown out because it's very, very, very invasive on our Second Amendment rights. Right. Just from the 15 or 20 pages that I've read of the thing, I don't want to spend a day and a half, 2 days reading 260 pages of nonsense that a bunch of bureaucrats in Congress have basically foisted on this country. I just, the more I read this, the more I was like, y'all have lost y'all's minds. You have literally lost your minds. So just a little bit of information on that 5717, because at least one friend had the untruth, cover up thing that Facebook does when their fact checkers get involved with it. That's bunk. It's absolutely true.
Go ahead, Mitch.
I want to touch on two things you were talking about a while back,
Right.
about the another case of the COVID-19.
Right.
And I know where you got that from. They're saying in China they're starting to see symptoms of it start picking back up again.
Sure.
Hey, it may not be true, because we can't believe anything that come out of China.
No. Unfortunately.
They've actually have looked at, I guess, with satellites on China, and seeing that there's a whole lot of people that's not walking around and out and about like they say they are.
Right.
And they're saying those estimates could have been as close as 2.1 million deaths.
Correct.
In China. And China never released that information, and they would not want to release that information.
The other thing that was a clue to them was the crematoriums were constantly burning.
Right.
They were constantly hot, which means they were burning bodies.
Byron Mitchell, I've heard numbers of upward, Michael, tell me of 20 to 30 million.
Yeah, I want
20 to 30 million, ladies and gentlemen, upwards of that.
I'm curious, Byron, I'd like your input on this one. One of the things that China is big on, as we all know, is technology.
Right.
And they've made a big push for communication. Primarily, the state-run government obviously wants to. They control a lot of the communication.
Sounds like 5G's coming.
So, several reports have come out of around that have said that there are millions of cell phone accounts that are closed.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And one of the things that's been said was that China strongly encourages people maintaining cell phones so that they are constantly being bombarded tracked and being bombarded with the state-run media. So I'd like your opinion on this one. If they're so big on tracking people and making sure that the state-run media gets information out to these people in their devices, when 21 million accounts are closed, what would be your take on that?
One or two things. There's a whole lot of people that are dead.
Right.
There's a whole lot of people. I'm going to put this or. There's a whole lot of people dead, or they put a whole lot of people in concentration camps.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's the first one.
Yep.
Or these people are breaking their cell phones and throwing them in rivers and doing things like that. And it started in China, what I've been waiting to hear again, because conveniently this virus has appeared about the time when all this stuff was going on. And guess where?
I tell you what,
Hong Kong.
Hey, listen to this. But also, remember we signed the trade bill with China?
And then all of a sudden,
what was in the stipulations of the trade bill? If there was a pandemic, they're not to be held accountable for the trading.
Right. Sure.
And they knew all along that COVID-19 was going on.
Yeah.
And they did not say anything about it because they wanted to save their rear ends for having to do that. And I'm telling you, China released this thing on purpose.
Doesn't matter.
What the other nations need to do is close them off completely, let them die from within, and let their own citizens rise up and overthrow the government that's there.
They need to do that anyway.
Right.
Mitchell, that's a totalitarian government. They are absolutely brutal. They are absolutely cruel. And you don't have an opinion over there other than what they tell you to have an opinion of.
So who's to say they didn't orchestrate the whole thing in the first place to make sure that was in the trade agreement?
That's very true.
To keep them from having to be held to it.
Here is my thoughts and my responses from what you're talking about. We find this was genetically engineered,
right?
Which pretty sure that it was, because the first patient case was a scientist bioengineer from this lab in Wuhan, China. So
research lab, they go.
Well, it's a military biological warfare lab that has to do with, guess who? Yeah. Bill Gates. You're the one that sponsored that, Bill Gates, by the way. But that's another story. The Chinese government probably took it after you gave all that money and turned it into what it is. But Bill Gates is responsible for this particular lab. So anyway, this goes on, and so the first patient it dies. He died from it. If we find out that came from that lab and he wasn't eating bats, okay, which I believe is true.
Not necessarily so.
Oh, I like this.
It was revealed there's some investigations that's been going on, independent investigations, and one of the investigations, which I will share with you the information on it, was a report that said that the patient zero originated from the market in Wuhan, China,
right,
based on the consumption of a bat and that sort of thing like that one. It has been publicly announced, according to some Chinese officials that are quoted on video, saying there are no bats at this seafood area. There were no bats.
And those bats are technically over, 500 miles away from that
market.
Yes, it does not surprise me at all. That is a load of nonsense. Believe nothing that comes out of China. They lie through their teeth to manipulate the world. Like we said, as a totalitarian government. We find out that actually come out of the lab like was reported.
Correct.
At first.
Right.
Because they were actually saying that the first case come from this person that worked in this lab. Okay, that's a pretty good indication that it actually came from that lab.
I want to get into something really quick. I'm sorry.
Let me finish this thought really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, we find out that it actually did, whether it was released purposefully or whether it was not released purposefully. Speaking as an American, we should shut China completely out.
Absolutely.
Completely out. We should start working on our infrastructure as soon as we figure that out and shut them completely out and start buying products from other places. Now, the rest of the world, they can do what they want. Don't care. But us?
I'll tell you the truth. I'd rather us make the products here in the United States and pay a little extra more money for them than to buy from China.
You know what that does?
Anyway.
You know what that does? What y'all just said? Not only...
more factories, more jobs.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, more jobs.
With higher paying wages for people, the production workers that are looking for that extra money. Right. It boosts the economy up here in our own country.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, here we go. I've got a couple of questions for you. That was a real simple answer, wasn't it? Jason Bob said...
You capitalist, you.
Yes, how about that, huh? Yeah. Well, guess what we're going to open up, gentlemen, after this is all over. What am I worried about is after everything returns to normal, that a small resurgence of this virus will happen. It can turn into as big as now, possibly worse. This comes from Sarge.
Okay, Sarge. We have it with the flu every year. Honestly, is the flu airborne? Can you get the flu airborne, or is it just aerosolized?
Aerosolized, yeah.
So we have another virus that is, the numbers are very similar to this every year.
Right.
It's very possible this can happen. We can't close down this country like this again. We know what this is now, and we know how to treat it. Right. So I don't know how in the world they could possibly get away with shutting it down again now that they have a medication for it. I don't see that that's possible.
All right, Renee said something for you. She said, President can recommend that the governors open their communities back up, but he can't do it himself. She said, check your Constitution.
Here's the problem. Here is what the problem with what they are saying about this. Sure, he can make a suggestion to the governors that they need to open that back up. But the governors, on the other hand, can't violate our Constitution.
Right.
So if he says it's time to get everybody back to work, and governors are going, we are still going to violate your constitutional rights, then the president has a responsibility to step in and stop the governors from doing that. Because he is the ultimate law enforcement office in the country.
Right.
I don't care what these so-called constitutional scholars that have been on TV all day are saying about this. He is the enforcer of the Constitution. And when somebody in government is breaking that, he is responsible for overseeing them stop. And see, and that's the problem with this.
Right.
We're what we're doing is we're trying to use the 10th Amendment in a way that the Democrats used the 10th Amendment before the Civil War started, and giving governors of states more power over their states than the federal government. Now, there is a balance with this. And in ways they do have more rights and more power over their states than the federal government does. There is separation there, just like there's supposed to be separation between the Congress and the Supreme Court.
Right.
But if a governor is imposing draconian measures after a crisis is over on its citizens, and the federal government has declared the crisis is over, then the president has a right to step in and go, you got to stop this. And then, if they don't, the federal government can file lawsuits and start actually doing things like removing governors. It's been done before.
Yeah.
So
as well as your governor can remove county officials.
There's county officials
of that state.
And that's the way it works with that. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump makes a comment. Everybody thinks he sounds like a dictator. But he's not being a dictator. What he's saying is he's going to enforce the Constitution the way the Constitution was meant to be enforced. That was the whole entire thing. Everybody went nuts over it. I'm sitting here going, guys, y'all have lost y'all's minds if you think you can usurp the power of the federal government over this once they've declared this emergency over. Because they are the ones that enforce the Constitution. Literally, the Constitution is what started the federal government.
Right.
Well, in a state of emergency, the governors ask the federal government
Right.
they can file for it. So,
well, and here's the other thing. The funding that comes from the federal government during emergencies, if they decide that they're going to actually defy the federal government over that, can be withheld. So what are they going to do? They're going to close their economies down and have nothing in their coffers and no assistance from the federal government? That's not going to happen either. That's really the simplest way to stop a governor from doing craziness. Is go, okay, no more federal funds for you.
All right. I don't know the answer to this one. The CDC, is it part of the cabinet? Is it part of the presidential cabinet? I don't know that answer. I would assume that would fall under the Surgeon General, wouldn't
I believe it falls under the
Surgeon General.
But I mean,
I'm not positive on that.
It's not a cabinet.
No.
But it should fall under the Surgeon General.
I agree. All right. Yes, American made. We were just talking about that. 10th Amendment is broken by the Civil War.
No, the 10th Amendment wasn't broken by the Civil War. The 10th Amendment was abused by the Democrats before the Civil War. That's what started the Civil War. Look, the 10th Amendment was broken by a set of Democrats again in the somewhere around 1917 when they passed the 14th Amendment, giving the people the power to vote for senators. That's when the 10th Amendment was really truly broken.
Right.
because you had a federal-style government system set up with the states too. The states actually elected the senators, sent them to the United States, and they were under the control of the governors and the body government of the states to represent the states on a federal level, on the federal government's level. Now it's not there anymore. So what you do is you break the state's power from the 10th Amendment by giving the people the power to vote for the senators. And what you're basically doing is turning this more into a democracy by doing that than you're doing anything else, because now the people have two houses. It's not meant for the people to have two houses. We're supposed to have a voice. The states are supposed to have a voice. And then you have the person that is the head of the country, the president. And you have a judiciary branch that looks at it all and goes, we don't agree. Now, it's supposed to be co-equal. All of it's supposed to be, he does things, that this is all going to be start to come to an end at the end of this month.
Yeah, I think by May the 15th, we'll really start getting it rolling.
You think so? I do too.
And now sporting events, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there.
The sporting events and sporting events and concerts.
Yeah, you got a lot of people, so I don't know what's going to go on with that.
June 20th.
Sticks.
All right.
June 20th.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back.
Pieces of 8.
So, hey, I want everything to get back to normal by June the 5th because I'm ready to go get my nitro fix. I'm ready to go back to finish up the Gator Nationals at Gainesville Raceway.
Yep.
And I know those racers, they're very
Looking forward to it.
very ready to go too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been sitting in their shops. I mean, all the stuff is still sitting, like all the burger stands and hot dog stands
Right.
and stuff. They're still sitting out there at Gainesville because they're supposed to come back there and pick it back up the rest of the season. So
I am hearing stuff like this over and over and over and over and over again. People are ready to go back to what they do for work. And trust me, racing is a job for racers.
Yes,
It's
it is.
not. They have a great
Oh,
time.
it's
They
a-
have a blast with it, but it's still a job.
it's a big time money. You get into marketing. There's a lot of dollars there.
People are ready. We're ready to get back. We just have to be careful about how we go back. That's all.
Brian, I really appreciate that segment, man. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. Mitchell, you did a wonderful job on your segment. My name is David Rodgers, on the spot here with you. To my left, Mr. Byron Bagwell, who you just heard. Mr. Dave Holland. Mr. Michael Heater. Mr. Mitchell Gunner. Sorry I had to step out, ladies and gentlemen. That was work calling. And, of course, you got to go when work calls. Yeah, so
I know that very well.
everything was well. But anyway, I'm glad to be back with you. Let's get into some sports. Yeah, let's do it, baby. Let's do it. We have not. Freezing up, ladies and gentlemen. It's flicking back and forth. See, we're losing some viewers here, but anyway, just hang in there, ladies and gentlemen. If you can hear me, we're going on. All spring sports have been canceled for the 2019-2020 season. We are hoping football will start as scheduled. Talking local here, and that's our lovely Bradford Tornadoes, who made it to the regional semifinal game last year. Lost a heartbreaker to Bowles. And I'll tell you what, looking to rebound, got 10 seniors coming back, all had playing time. You do know we got a couple of guys that's got Division I offers, right?
Oh yeah.
Dante Balfour, your receiver there, Byron, number 1, University of Virginia. Guess what? I guarantee you Florida State and some others offer before it's over with. You think Florida State's going to let that kid get out of this state without pushing? No way. Sterling Roberts. Hey, plays on the line, plays defense. He got an offer from Indiana University. And
Really?
Levontre Daniels got an offer from Valdosta State already. Football ain't even started. We ain't even got no spring. We ain't got nothing right now. And these kids already got offered. Can you imagine if they were already in practice, playing, ready to roll. Spring game coming up.
Yeah, I'd see it. That's what
Yeah.
concerns me about this upcoming football season.
I agree.
No practices.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I really apologize for the lag. We're working on that. We're trying to get through this. I do, and I will go back over it Saturday. Want to go over the football schedule real quick. If it stays intact, local for our Bradford football team, if it stays intact, we will have a preseason game Friday night, 7:30. We'll be playing Newberry. Remember what happened last year with Newberry?
Yep.
So we get to go over there for a preseason classic game. That'll be at 7:30 at Newberry.
Can I bring my brass nuts?
You sure can.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on August the 21st, Friday at 7:30 starts the regular season. We will go to Baker County and play the Baker County Wildcats. I'm sure they'll be looking forward to that one because we beat them last year, so they'll be looking for some revenge there. Then on the 28th of August, Baldwin will come here and play Bradford. They got us last year as well. They were a playoff team, and we'll be looking to get some revenge there. How about a game that we never played last year? And this is on September the 4th. That'll be Keystone Heights Indians. They'll come here to Bradford Field. You remember last year because of the weather, we never got a chance to play that game. They just canceled it, remember?
Yep.
Keystone was a playoff team in that other side of that division. And I think that would have been a good game. September the 11th, 9/11, unfortunately, be Friday this year. We got to go over to Jacksonville, gentlemen. We're going to play University Christian Christians. We get a return date over there. You remember they only beat us 8-7.
That was a good game.
We lost in the last 2 minutes. Remember?
Yeah.
We was winning that thing 7-0, and we lost that game right there.
Go ahead and keep on.
Oh,
Keep
okay.
on. Before we end tonight, I want to say something.
I'll read that off. Sure. All right. And then Friday the 18th, we got us a new opponent, Mitchell and Byron. Probably y'all played them when y'all was in school. We get to play Swanee High School, Live Oak, going over there. So we got 2 road games back to back. We'll be going to Live Oak to play the Swanee Bulldogs. Then on the 25th, we've got a great team coming into town. The hardest opponent on the schedule. It's a team called Cardinal Gibbons. They're out of Fort Lauderdale. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Wow.
If you remember, Byron,
my gosh.
if you remember, they were 10-3 last year. They lost to the eventual state champions in that regional final
That's right.
to Booker T. Washington, 31-21. Bradford gets them here. Oh, boy.
I played against some of those boys.
Oh,
down
my
there
God,
when I was in
dude.
high school. That's not fun at all.
No. Cardinal Gibbons, just remember that. Then we'll have a bye week, and then on September the 9th, the only 7 o'clock game we have, we will go over to play the Blue Wave, PK Young Blue Wave, over there at PK Young football field.
At
That'd
the,
be, oh,
at the-
God.
at the great
Yes.
and wonderful People's Republic of Alachua County.
There you go. And then on the 16th of, then on the 16th of October will be homecoming. At 7:30 we'll play those Palatka Panthers. So that'll be here. 10:23 the following week, South Sumter Bulldogs. We owe them guys one, don't we? We lost a heartbreaker down there. We should have won that game. We lost 28-26. We should have won that game. But they'll get to come here. And then on the 30th, that's senior night. And that will be actually, yes, yeah, that's exactly right. On 10:30, that'll be senior night. And that'll be Fort White. They'll come here to the new football field. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 home games and 5 away games to include that preseason kickoff classic. So not a bad schedule because if you remember correctly, we traveled that last half of the season. I think
right.
Bradford started getting some momentum away from the crowd, everything. Bradford started getting away from some momentum.
Well, they started playing disciplined football.
Yes,
before
they
that
did.
happened.
Yeah. And that defense was out of sight. I don't know if that defense is going to be as good, but I can tell you what, if they have anything, if Tomlinson and Charles and those boys have anything, they're going to be good. I can tell you that right now. So that's on the local there. So again, we're hoping that the fall sports, according to Stacey Creighton, will be running as scheduled, depending, of course, on what Byron and Mitchell and everybody's been talking about on the decline of the coronavirus and what's going on. But
Bites
I just
tongue.
don't.
Bites tongue.
Yeah.
But no, we don't.
We can't go that far. No, we can't. We just can't.
We've got to return this country back to normal.
Yeah,
We've
we
got
have
medication that works with it.
I've got something sports related.
Okay, what you got?
I want to let you know that Kyle Larson has been suspended indefinitely by NASCAR
comments.
after a racial slur
Yep.
on iRacing was done live on TV. So his sponsors dropped him like a rock right after it happened.
Wow.
And so now there's an opportunity for someone to get in the car.
Yep.
And the whole time that he thought that he was actually talking to his spotter, didn't realize that he was talking open mic with everybody.
Oh my God.
Now
Yeah.
you're looking for a driver.
So yeah, they'll have to have a driver to fill
I
that
know
car.
a guy.
That is a shame.
That is
I
a
do
real
too.
shame.
But
That is-
he likes to drive straight lines. He doesn't
Yeah.
like to do the roundy thing.
You have to get my nephew.
Oh, you get your
There you
nephew.
There you go. Your
That is-
nephew could probably drive that thing,
That
man.
is
I can tell you right now.
He was practicing tonight on iRacing. So
Right, that's good.
That is a real shame because Kyle Larson was a really
Yes, he
good
was.
driver.
Yep.
I mean, a really
very
good driver.
young, still young in the beginning of his career. So I'm hoping later on maybe they'll give him a second chance.
They need
maybe
to.
he'll grow up and mature a little bit and watch his mouth.
Because everybody
About
makes
what he
mistakes.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
I mean, I understand in this politically correct world we live in about things like that,
Right.
but to completely ruin a person's career who had a pretty bright career ahead of him,
Good racing.
that's
So I don't know
Appreciate
if
it.
it's going to, because he also runs outlaw cars.
right.
And I don't know if that'll affect his career in running those. I don't know how they are sanctioned. I don't know if they're sanctioned with NASCAR. I'm pretty sure they're probably ACCA or some other organization like that
Well, you know they're going to suspend him there too.
may not. So may or may not.
We'll see.
All right. Anyway, I want to continue on.
Yep.
And I do know that the president has talked to all the main officials from the NCAA, from Major League Baseball, from the NFL, to hockey, to everything. They're trying to figure out a date where sports can officially start. I have heard, and don't be surprised if you don't see this, gentlemen. Me and Byron's talked about this. If you see them get back into action, but with limited or no fans in the stadiums.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
And you're going to see that. And they polled a bunch of players, and they said, we don't care. We're just antsing at the bit to get back to playing.
They wanna play.
And they want to play. So they said they don't care if it's in front of 0, 3, 10, or a bunch. They don't care. They just want to get back to playing. But you're going to see some games possibly like
Well,
that.
go ahead, Dave.
You know, with all this time off, they haven't done any practice or kept in shape. These games are going to be interesting when they come
Well,
back.
and that's a good point that you bring up because, I listen to a lot of college sports talk. Me and Byron talk about this, Mitchell, and you as well. And I was listening to some of the coaches that came on there. They are still, yes, some kids are, you know what I'm thinking to say. Some
know what
kids
you're
are
fixing to
working out
say.
at home and doing their thing. They're still doing what they can. There's some kids that has got limited stuff, but they're still doing things as well. And their trainers are coming on. Zoom is a great thing.
Yes, it is.
Zoom is a great thing. If you don't know about Zoom, ladies and gentlemen, check into that. Tell them, Byron.
And if you have any interest in your 401ks or
Yes.
you're doing anything with the stock market, get
Yeah.
in right now.
Yes.
The stock has gone through the absolute
roof. Because this is how all these coaches and trainers and everything can talk to their players.
Their players.
And, what are you doing? Hey, you could be doing this. What's your setup at home? Some kid may have a hecacious gym. Some kid may not have anything at all, but they're using their bodies. You know what I mean? They're using their own body weight to keep working out. They're running. They're doing the things. But what I like about all this is everybody is equal. There is nobody that's really ahead of anybody else. You're all going to start the season at the same time. You're all going to start practice at the same time. So it's an even, level playing field. From me and Byron talked about this. from Alabama to Clemson to Indiana.
Yeah.
Everybody's the same. Everybody's going to start at the same time. Everybody's going to do the same thing.
Look, here's something else I'm going to say about this. They're kept very close track of.
Absolutely.
I really don't see why these kids can't be tested for COVID-19 and they can't have practices right now.
Right.
I understand the body contact. I understand the foods.
Right.
I understand all of that. But these
Right.
kids, they're making sure their star players.
Oh, yeah.
And their players in general.
Yes.
Are not doing stupid things.
That's
right now.
exactly right.
So why can't they be tested and actually let them practice?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. The only thing I can think of is right now, and I'll get y'all's opinion on it real quick, is that sports ain't up here right now. It's about the whole thing.
It's about
and that's what I'm
safety
wondering.
and
You know what
health.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Look, I understand that too. But
Yeah.
At some point, it's got to become partly too about the morale of this country.
Right.
And not everybody watches football.
No.
But there's a great portion of this country that does, and
Right.
a great percentage of that follows it very passionately.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love football.
Me too.
I love college football,
Me
and
too.
I absolutely love the NFL.
Right.
So there's got to be something they can do to get this back. There's got to
Yeah.
be some relief, is what I'm trying to say from all
Right.
of this, and sports could be one of those reliefs.
Right.
For
And I agree with you. And
Because right now your morale is down, and
Yeah.
even if, like you said, there's no fans in the stands whatsoever, at least everybody at home will be watching
Well,
it.
I want to
because-
see Sports Center. Let me tell you, I was watching, I watch a lot of these old games, and I told Byron why I do. I watch these old games for certain reasons. Number one, for me to remember the game. I remember watching that, but I don't remember certain players and certain plays. But if I go back and watch it, I go, oh, I remember seeing that. And the second reason I watch it, probably for my sake, and maybe a little selfish, but hey, it is what it is. I'm a radio announcer. I do play-by-play. So I listen to the guys that are on television calling the game, and I want to go, man, I can pick that up. Maybe,
I like that. Yeah.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason I watch all those games. But let me tell you what SportsCenter's doing. Y'all all seen it. They replayed that Georgia-Baylor game, that Sugar Bowl. You've seen that already? 4, 5, 6 times. I mean, how many... If you're gonna play old games, play one and then play another.
There is such a
I mean,
catalog of football, really good football
Yes.
games you could put on for a year or so.
Yes.
Oh, they can play the bloopers.
Yeah, anything. Anything.
I can
But I don't
tell
know
you
how
how
many
you
times
could
they're
fill up an entire day. Just play all the playoff games and the Super Bowls from the Dallas Cowboys from the early 2000s.
Right.
I mean, they were the great. That's one of the greatest football teams I've ever seen.
Yes.
I do want to tell you something that's sports related that I
Okay.
heard earlier today that made me very sad because I thought they were putting on a pretty good product. The XFL has filed for bankruptcy.
Did they really? I did miss that, brother.
Because of this virus.
Wow.
And the restrictions of what's
And
going
Vince
on.
McMahon having nobody coming into his wrestling SmackDown or Raw. I mean, they're doing that in front of nobody. They're doing it in studios.
One of the 4.5 is where I heard that earlier today.
Wow,
Out
excellent.
of
Thank you.
Jacksonville.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the WWE and Vince McMahon. You do know that he is still broadcasting Monday nights and Friday night
That's right.
shows
In a studio.
in a studio
Right. Without any fans.
because,
The TV revenue?
well, yes, because it took a ruling by Governor DeSantis because they're
Yes.
they're doing it
That's
from
correct.
their
Yeah.
performance center here in Florida, down in Tampa.
Yeah.
Governor DeSantis ruled the WWE as essential employees.
I heard that.
So they would be able to continue to put on the show to try to maintain television ratings and revenue.
Oh, boy. I heard that, too. I forgot about
And
that.
people
Yeah.
laugh about that.
Yeah.
But look,
They got to work, too.
how do you define essential?
So, right.
To their families, they're essential.
Essential.
To your families, you're essential if you're not working.
So, Byron, I wanted to ask you, when you heard that, so is Is this going to be the end of the XFL, or is it going to be able to rebound?
I didn't hear anything else about it. All I know is that they filed for bankruptcy.
And man, I sure
Because
was
of this.
looking forward to this season. It was going great, man. I'll tell you, that was pretty good football. I'll be honest with you.
Great venues. They
Great
played
venues, yeah.
It was a good product.
It was a good product.
Something that they could continue to build on, which Vince McMahon is very good at doing.
Yeah.
That basically could have turned into a recruitment field for the NFL.
Right, it sure
and players that were after a second chance of playing in the NFL.
As a matter of fact, before this all went down, he did sign actually a couple of players. Word did sign to the NFL, and one was going to your Cowboys, and I can't think of the boy's name right now.
Is he a corner?
A safety. And I can't think.
Defensive back.
Defensive back. Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
So, but
yes,
and then there was a quarterback. One of the quarterbacks that's quarterback, and
Was
it Landry?
I think it was.
Was it Landry? Landry signed with somebody. So there was, like you said, there's that feeder.
It's a feeder.
It's a feeder.
Exactly.
It was a feeder project.
So
I'm really kind of
I'm
bummed
kind of
about
bummed
that.
out too. So
And I don't know if it'll end it or not.
I hope not.
but
I hope not either.
I
I hope
hope
not.
Vince, once this is all over with, and the
He'll
money
be able to
machine that is the WWE starts to kick back into gear, that they refund this because it's
it was good football.
This was no he hate me nonsense.
it wasn't.
The last time this was real football. And
Yes, it was.
good. It really
was.
Good.
It was a good
I
product.
mean, there was some wacky stuff that they were doing that was off the wall from a normal football game, but it wasn't like
It wasn't extremely out of the norm.
It wasn't. It didn't look like it was choreographed or a storyline.
It was not. It was not professional wrestling shenanigans.
Correct.
It was
Right.
actually different ways to run a football game.
Yeah.
And
Talking with the players on the sidelines,
Right.
Interviewing them while the game's going on.
You can
instead
hear
of afterwards.
Well, you could hear the replay
Right.
official talk about the play and why he was going to rule the way
Right.
he was.
But it was quick. They did everything really professional, man. I thought it was a great product.
I did too.
The only thing I didn't like about it is I don't particularly care about that sideline garbage. Talking on the sideline, me talked about that. I don't particularly care them talking to players and all that right there.
Sooner or later, that mic'd up stuff for the coaches is going to get signals stolen.
Yes,
too.
it is.
Sooner
And
or
then
later.
it'll end. And then it'll end. Then it'll stop.
You know, I hope it comes back. I really would like to see that one come back, David.
Major League, just real quick, Major League Baseball, before I get into some NFL, Major League Baseball still wants to start in May. Whether they said if we play in front of zero fans or whatever, they're going to play.
Well, their season is supposed to have already started.
Right,
I was about to say it should have
started.
started.
So that'll
End of
probably
March.
be March. The end of March, April, so you're probably looking at about a 120 game schedule. But they're wanting to play, and they say they're going to play in front, like we were just talking about, in front of nobody, 10, whatever.
I
They're
say let them play in front of nobody.
I say let them play in front of nobody too. At least it's sports and something.
Stadium, huh?
Well, can you imagine that'd be hey, let's play that pickup game. Hey, bring your team over, man.
Yeah, it's like playing backyard baseball.
Yeah.
So,
let's do it. At least it's something. At least something current, and you can get the seasons, going.
Well, some of those teams, they're kind of used to not playing in front of anybody anyway.
Yeah.
Because some of them just suck.
Yeah, like my favorite word, sucks.
You would think that they could figure out a way to socially distance
I
people
think so.
in a
I
stadium.
think, you can.
I mean,
they'll figure this out, and you'll
6
see.
foot this way, 6 foot this
that
way,
way,
6
The
foot
games on the week during the week. I mean, there's not a whole lot of
ain't a whole
people that
bunch
go
of
there
people, yeah.
anyway
Right.
because people are working.
Working.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there should be ways to get people in to see that. There really should be. You know, I mean,
Somebody asked me, Byron, it was Anthony Black and Sarge, is there going to be an NFL draft? Yes, there is. It's going to
that
happen.
never was canceled, by the way.
No, that's going to be April the 23rd through the 25th. That's next week. And that will be coming from Las Vegas, Nevada, live. There will not be no fans there, though, ladies and gentlemen. All that hoopla crowd and everything, there will not be nobody there. Who's going to be there is Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, the host. Who is it? That host that is it? Berman, not Berman. Maybe Chris is on there too. I can't think of the other guy there. But anyway, those guys will be there. Roger Goodell will be there,
Right.
and the players, some of the players will be there.
And
now,
the
some
coaches
of
are
it is going to be coming through Zoom or whatever. Going to be that way as well.
All their agents will be going through Zoom
correct
as well.
So, but there will be a draft, and it will be live, and it will be televised by ESPN. So, go ahead.
I have a prediction.
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars 3rd round selection. Mm-hmm. Who you think I'm going to go with?
Cam Akers, running back, Florida State.
I most certainly hope so.
There you
I
go.
hope you learned your lesson 2 years ago about Florida State running backs and what they do in the NFL.
All right, I want to continue on with our free agency and the teams that we left off. If y'all remember correctly, we were left off with New England. Y'all all do know that Tom Brady is history. He's down in Tampa. Yep. Good luck with that. Devin McCourty.
They'll go 8-8.
Yeah. Agrees. Safety, probably one of the best safeties in the league. 2-year, $23 million contract.
Oh.
Yep. And let me tell you who they picked up. I'm surprised Cleveland got rid of him. Brian Hoyer has signed with the New England Patriots.
Are you kidding me?
1-year deal.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Sure did. So, the New Orleans Saints, they re-signed Drew Brees. Me and Brian talked about this. We all, Brees ain't going nowhere.
Brees is not going anywhere.
2-year contract, $50 million. The Hill guy, the team placed him on a first-round tender on the restricted free agent. I was surprised about that. Now, he hasn't went to anybody. That Hill kid, you remember him? We wanted him, remember? He was throwing, running, and everything.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they did that because Brees re-signed him. Because you remember Teddy Bridgewater now is over in Carolina.
Yeah, they're not getting rid of Hill either. I wouldn't think so.
I
would
now.
have protected him completely. Is what I would have done with him.
Yeah,
because that kid's good.
Hey,
yeah,
Brees is getting older.
That's what I'm saying.
Very prone to the older you get. We all know you don't bounce back as fast.
Nope. And this Hill kid played quarterback in college. He's just playing receiver now because who's going to take Brees' job?
He's playing athlete is what he's doing. Because
exactly
if you watch their packages, they put in packages for him as a quarterback. Most times runs, but
now, do you think this is Brees' last 2 years?
I do. I really do.
Too.
I think it is.
How old is he now?
He is 41, 42.
Something like that.
So I think he's probably done. Malcolm Jenkins signed with the Saints, safety man. How about this name? You know this one, Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver. They picked him up along with Thomas and the other guy. Yeah, 2 years, $16 million contract. Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh my God. Yeah, offense went from being incredible just to being unreal.
Yeah, and here's another one for you, for the Saints. You know this guy. You know P.J. Williams? He used to play corner for Florida State. He signed a 1-year, $2 million deal. Yep.
Cool.
The Giants. Here we go. Let's take a look. They've done absolutely nothing. Garbage. Actually, they agreed with Colt McCoy, quarterback, agreed to terms with them. I figured they was probably
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy.
Now, there's a name I haven't heard in a
I know
long
it, man.
time.
Yeah, I know it.
They're going to be looking at picking up another quarterback.
They are.
That kid from the Giants that was backing up Manning last year was not bad.
Yeah, he wasn't.
wasn't.
They did sign Deion Lewis, the running back. They did sign him, so that's not too bad. But besides that, not much.
That's
the
good
Jets.
for Dallas.
Yeah, there you go. That's good for them. How about the Jets?
Hate the Giants.
Let's see here. One of the guys, Perryman, the wide receiver, signed a $1 million 1-year deal worth up to $8 million, $6 million guaranteed. Brian Poole, cornerback, signed a 1-year deal as well. And Jordan Jenkins, an edge rusher, signed a $5 million deal with him. Not a bad player. Philadelphia Eagles. Here we go. Let's see here. Anybody that Darius Slay, the corner from the Lions, he was traded over there, 3-year, $50 million deal. And Nate Sudfeld, a quarterback, re-signed with the Eagles as well. I'm trying to figure who he played with. I think he's like a Division II quarterback or something like that.
I've never heard of
him either. So besides that, good for your Cowboys.
Hey, you never knew about those Division II quarterbacks because one played for Dallas and he was pretty good, just couldn't get him over the hump.
Yeah. Here's one, the Steelers. I'm surprised that they picked up Eric Ebron, the tight end. I thought for sure instead of Eifert that we would take Ebron. Or we would show interest in Ebron. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, he's a great tight end.
He is, but
Yeah.
Eifert's.
Yeah, I mean, the
that's
only
a-
thing with Eifert is he's injury prone. That's the only thing with Eifert.
That's sort of a toss-up.
It is a toss-up.
Their skills are so close to each other.
Right. Chris Wormley, the defensive tackle, and Stefan Wisniewski, offensive lineman, the son of the Steve Wisniewski that used to play for the Steelers. His son signed it too. That's him.
Wow. Wow.
All right, San Francisco 49ers, Super Bowl runner-ups, right? They signed Travis Benjamin. You know Travis Benjamin? Whatever happened to him, man? I don't, man. He had a great career at Florida State, man, and then or is that Kelvin Benjamin? That's Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah, Travis
He was
Benjamin.
still playing on somebody's squad the last time I heard.
He's
last
still
year.
with unless they cut him. Is he still playing with Carolina?
I think so.
Okay, I don't think
he
they
was-
cut him.
He was starting at one point.
Right. Travis Benjamin, a good receiver. He played for the Chargers last year, signed with the San Francisco 49ers, and Jimmy Ward, their safety, re-signed as well. Seattle Seahawks, Philip Dorsett, wide receiver, signed a one-year deal worth $1 million. Quentin Dunbar, the cornerback, traded from the Redskins. Remember him? He was good. So they got him as well. And Greg Olson, the tight end from Carolina.
Yeah.
He signed with Seattle.
That's a
Yeah.
good pickup.
Yes,
That's a
it
really
is.
good pickup. That's
Real
a
good.
Really good tight end.
Yes, it is. All right, Tampa Bay. Y'all know all about Tom Brady. Blaine Gabbert re-signed with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Hey, maybe Tom Brady will teach him a thing or two. Kevin Minter, linebacker, agreed to terms with the Bucks. Jason Pierre Paul, re-signed with the Buccaneers as well. And
He's a good player.
Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh, he re-signed with the Bucks as well. I think they're trying to beef up that defense.
Ndamukong Suh
Suh can play.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
The
a good
only
player.
problem with the Ndamukong Suh I had, ladies and gentlemen, is he was always known as a dirty player.
Dirty player.
He'd kick you and he'd stomp you and
Oh,
he'd fight you.
I know.
Yeah, you know already all too much
we played
about
against
that.
him a lot.
Yes, you did. Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry. They placed a franchise tag on him. Imagine that.
Very smart.
Yeah,
Very smart.
very smart move there. Vic Beasley, edge rusher, agreed to a one-year, $9.5 million term. Ryan Tannehill, their quarterback. That's why your boy Mariota's out of a job. That guy right
Tannehill.
there.
Tannehill, he good.
Agreed to a 4-year, $118 million contract. $62 million, Mitchell, guaranteed. Let me tell you something right now. That team right there,
Dangerous.
watch out. Dangerous.
Dangerous.
I think Jacksonville, if they make some moves, they can play with them. But dangerous team. How about your Redskins? Kyle Allen, quarterback,
Redskins.
acquired in a trade with the Carolina Panthers. Kyle Allen.
Who?
Yeah, who gives a crap? Peyton Barber, running back, signed a 2-year contract.
Who?
Ronald Darby, cornerback.
I know who that is.
Yep. You know Sean Davis, safety? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So, yep, he agreed to a 1-year deal. How about Kendall Fullers, a cornerback, signed a 4-year contract. And that's really about it.
That goes to show me that they
Yeah,
don't
they
have
don't know.
a lot of belief in signing those guys.
Yeah, I know.
All right, and I'm,
Hold on,
yeah.
hold on.
deals.
I think me and Mitchell got something to say about the Redskins.
Okay, go ahead. One,
What do
two.
they-
What do they do?
They suck.
All right. All right, going down the draft. This is according to Mel Kiper, and we're going to close the show off real quick. Number 1 pick, according to him, Joe Burrow, the quarterback from LSU. Washington Redskins.
Wait. You say Joe Burrow or Ryan Leaf?
Same.
Oh, okay.
Redskins.
Just wanted to make sure.
Number 2 pick, Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State. Number 3, the Detroit Lions. Oh, wait a minute. What do we got here? Let's see. They don't even got one there for them. No, let me get one there.
Who you
the
said
Commodian has
was
come
might be
out.
going? What do you
Well,
say, Burrows?
Burrow's going to be going to Cincinnati Bengals,
Cincinnati.
Dave's team.
Hey,
Yep.
I guarantee you there's going to be a play for him for picks. I'm telling you right now.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Burrows is not going to Ohio.
You don't think so? You
No.
think there's going to be a trade somewhere?
Yes.
Do you?
I look for him to go to an NFC team. One of those teams.
Really?
We're going to try to pick him up between the Giants and the Skins.
Let me ask this question. Let me throw this in.
Okay.
What NFL team has the most draft picks this year?
Well, that'll be, of course, the Jacksonvele Jaguars because of all the trades and
or
everything.
they can make some deals.
They could probably make a deal as well.
They've got 3 number 1 picks.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I would like to see Burrows in Jacksonville.
Oh, so would I. So would I. So,
Minshew will probably lose his job.
I don't think so.
man, that's
I
don't know about all that. That's
I don't think so. I think Minshew has got the it factor, is what I think Minshew has. And I don't know that Burrows has that in the NFL. But Minshew does.
well, of course, Burrow hasn't played a snap in the NFL either. No. So where Minshew has, because he got thrown into the assignment, unfortunately, because Foles got hurt, and then
I can see them jumping up for somebody else. But anything's possible. I mean,
right.
There is so much nonsense going on in Jacksonville with its fans right now that there is no telling what they're trying to pressure the team into doing and what the team will listen to now that Tom Coughlin's gone. Mistake. Twice.
Well, unfortunately, I can't get to the whole thing here. I thought it was going to give me the whole thing. But I'll tell you what.
Coughlin Bills winners.
I'll go over that Saturday. I'll go over the NFL draft on Saturday. I will pull that up. I don't know why it's not coming up. I think we may be having some issues there.
David, really quick.
Yes.
He just said something I want to elaborate on.
Okay.
He said Coughlin Bills winners.
Yep.
This is for the local people around here and the people who are Jaguars fans that did not like Tom Coughlin.
Yep.
The man had 2 Super Bowl rings with a football team. He won a Super Bowl as a coach twice. He went to the AFC Championship twice in Jacksonville as a coach and once as a general manager or president of football operations or whatever he was. So he's got 2 Super Bowl rings and went to the AFC Championship game 3 times being associated with one team. And yet he doesn't know what he's doing and his systems are terrible. And I'm sitting here going,
the thing is, you know why they don't like him?
Rocker, because he enforces discipline.
He is strict. You don't show up in what you're supposed to dress up in, you're getting fined $500.
Hey, let me tell you this right now. The reason Tom Coughlin is not there, me and Byron talked about this, and I swear solely Byron may disagree a little bit. The sole reason Tom Coughlin is not the director of player personnel and the GM of that team right now is the way that he handled Jalen Ramsey this year. And I'm telling you right now, people seen that. People's like, hey, you should have handled that differently and better than what you did.
I believe you right there. Ramsey, they shouldn't have let him go. That was a terrible mistake.
No, it wasn't. It utterly infuriates me. Look at what they got in return for Ramsey, and look at what Ramsey is doing now on the Rams. Nothing.
Right.
That team made Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey thinks he's all that and still runs his mouth on Twitter all the time. And I'm sitting back here going, but what you doing now?
Do you know?
You don't have another good corner on your other side, and you're not doing anything. Hey, shut up and play football.
You know when he got traded, do you know how many interceptions he had the rest of the year?
0.
None.
0.
None.
My response to that is, I loved you in college.
I did too.
I loved you. Thought you were a great player. I loved you in the beginning in Jacksonville, but your head got too big.
Yeah.
Goodbye. We'll take the number 1 draft pick for that.
Yes,
sure.
we will. We'll take several of them.
Bye. Get out of here. Go. Take your stuff away. But you got a really good man fired, and I will always remember you for that, Jalen, no matter what happens in your career. Because I'm telling you, Tom Coughlin is a special coach, and he's a special GM.
Yes, he is. All right, Michael Heater, let's close this thing down.
That is my final comments tonight.
All right. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, real quick as we close the show out this evening, some breaking news coming out of Bradford County this evening. For those of you that track public safety, Bradford County has announced that they are going to place their 4th ambulance. They run 24-hour shifts like that one.
Right.
Ambulance number 5 goes online 24 hours a day in the Sampson City Fire Station starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And that will there'll also be some other things that come into work and play with the hospital and everything like that one. But for those of you that track Medic 9, which rotates as Medic 4, 12 hours a day, that sort of thing, they're now 2 separate ambulances. We now have a 5th ambulance covering Bradford County 24 hours a day.
While you're right there, Michael, final thoughts.
Thank you, sir.
Final thoughts. Don't forget about the rumor control line at 904-368-3943. Stay on top of Bradford County Emergency Management on Facebook, Bradford County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. And for those of you that don't, that have family or friends that don't have internet or don't follow us on Facebook or anything like that one, make sure you give them that telephone number. If they have any questions, reach out to us 24 hours a day. And with that, all this talk about football has got me jonesing for the season to get started.
Oh, my
I'm
God,
looking forward to it.
Me too. Dave, final thoughts.
Peace and goodwill on earth.
Yeah. I like it. I like that. Mitchell Gunner.
I want to comment on a question that was sent in by Cheryl Moss. She was wanting to know, do you think that the kids will go back to school on May the 4th?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think they will continue this homeschooling, or the Department of Education will send a thing out to go ahead and suspend the rest of the school year and go ahead and calculate the grades that they already have in place. Just going to let you know, our superintendent cannot do that. It has to come from the Board of Education in Tallahassee.
That's right.
Just real quick, that was Cheryl Moss?
Yes.
By the way, there's a possibility, ladies and gentlemen, that we may be doing a show live Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. We may be mediating and hosting the Bradford County Commissioners meeting. Still waiting final word on that. Gordon's supposed to get back with me on that. And also possibly Friday. Michael Heater, you can let us know more about this too as well. The sheriff said that we also may be doing another press conference. That'll be Bradford County Press Conference number 3. That will be Friday. And it'll be a busy week for us, gentlemen, because on Saturday we will have our show as well, same time at 7 p.m. So we may have a busy 3-day weekend, gentlemen.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, we're making all this money. We might as well do it.
Well, that's exactly right. So, yeah, exactly right. So, just
Well, wait a minute. Wait. The other co-host wants to know where my share is.
Yeah, of course they do. Go ahead.
Because it's non-existent.
The truth be told, we don't do this for money. We do
That's
this because
correct.
we enjoy it. We get no monetary compensation. We do have sponsors, and we work with our sponsors, but the sponsorships are not a big thing. I mean, we don't have a lot of overhead, for those of you that know where we broadcast from. But with that being said, we support local communities. We could go out and hit sponsorships from corporations that would do more than that. We don't. We support local businesses. The Jamie Clemens, the Vicky Forsyths, the folks around our community that do that sort of thing. And if you're interested in getting your business or your location mentioned on air as part of our sponsorship, send us an email. Let us know. We'd love to have you on board with the show. Reach out to us at onthespot32091@gmail.com. Again, onthespot32091@gmail.com. We've already received a couple requests. We're working out some stuff on that one to communicate with you back. And for those of you that are interested, we'd love to have you as part of our family.
Thank you, Michael,
so
and
much,
I appreciate that. That's a great way to put that. And that didn't come from me. This is my show. This is our show. That didn't come from me. That came from our director. We take not a cent from anything that is, like Michael said, dealing with any kind of advertising or every kind of marketing like that. And also, all monies that come through here, if there is any, goes into our equipment, goes into putting on this show. We are on Facebook Live. We are also on YouTube. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. On behalf of my co-hosts, Mr. Byron Bagwell, Mr. Michael Heater, Mr. Dave Hollett, Mr. Mitchell Gunner.
How much did you have to pay to make him say that?
Oh wow!
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was supposed to be that was supposed to be secret. Yeah, there you go. As we wrap up our show tonight, we want to absolutely thank Sheriff Gordon Smith for the hospitality and our fantastic sponsors each and every week. On behalf of the entire team, everyone have a great evening. And remember, we are on the spot, so you can be too. Good night, everybody.
Good night, infidels. I gotta pee. I got to get out this freezing cold room.
Still on the air.
My hands, man.
We good, Dave? All right.
I thought we were good. Well,